What the bloody hell?
It's rocker time.
Well, hello, rockers and rocker talking fans. Welcome back to the Rock Garden here. Today we're going to talk about a song by the group you might have heard of called Van Halen. And this song is Running with the Devil. That's really the first breakout single. The first song really was their introduction to, hey, here I am, meet your man of the world song, okay? They finally really came into being. A lot of people may not know this, interestingly. I must say, as a person who really kept his ear pretty close to the rail of rock and roll and rock all through the whole, from the beginning practically, it eluded me that Van Halen, but not as a group, but the members of the band largely, not David Lee Roth, but the members of the band largely, it starts back all the way to 1964. Oh, wow. I mean, seriously, because this song comes out in 77, 78, really released, Running with the Devil. So that's a little of ways, right? That's 13, 14 years the band's out. They went by a number of different names throughout that period of time, and I'm not what I would call an expert on Van Halen's early years, but it seems as though they settled largely with the band name Mammoth, of all things, up until about 74. And that's when it was decided by Eddie Van Halen, his brothers, like, let's just go with Van Halen. Really, Van Halen sounds cooler than Mammoth. I can see where they were coming from. That's a pretty cool name, Van Halen. Why not? I mean, all this time, I'm sure people say to him, why don't you go by Van Halen? that's damn cool name. So, and I'm just going to come out to the back end here because it seems like the best place to put this. But his son, I should say, of course, Wolfgang Van Halen, he actually now has a band, or at least he did, that it was an homage to that, an ode to, but he calls Mammoth, of all things, Mammoth, but he uses the initials Wolfgang Van Halen, so it's to not be specifically to Mammoth. I don't know. I find that I find that interesting. It's just a little side note, though, for what we're doing here. So, Running with the Devil, and again, I want to go back to 74 was really when Van Halen, the band, came into with a name, all right? So still a few years later before this comes out. And by this time, they got in David Lee Roth, which, interestingly, at the time, it was sort of debatable, is this guy good or not, to have for our lead singer really a front man. And I find it hard to believe that could ever be. I guess hindsight's 2020, but I thought he was fantastic as a show, and I've always felt terrible about the breakup. It was never the same. Just should have changed the name of the band entirely after that, because David Lee Roth, when you got your frontman lead singer, it's just like, the Doors with Jim Morrison. You're not without Jim Morrison, you're not the Doors. I'm sorry. You don't know what you are, the Windows or something. That's what we have here. So anyway, I know that a lot of people agree with me. There's no need to beat that into the ground. So David Lee Roth, when I heard him, and I can tell you, I could spend all afternoon talking about who I think has got some great rocker voices, the Humble Pies, I can't think of his name right off, but there are some really great rock voices out there. But David Lee Roth had this ability to just go, it was like rock, but it was like magic. It was a magic to his voice, almost like he could go as this kind of clown zone with it. And as you know, if you know about my history, the clown overseers and stuff, I mean, and even with Kiss, for example, who I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of Kiss. There's certain songs and stuff, but I think it's one of those things you either really love them or not so much. Oddly, though, going back to this again, his voice, when you heard it, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. And then you put the whole thing together with the amazing guitar licks from Eddie Van Halen and the drumming by Alex. All of this is very separate, even by itself. Just if you had nothing but the vocals, just having you have something amazing. If you had nothing but the guitar licks, you got something extraordinarily amazing. And the same thing with the drumming. It's like it's all in by itself. It's off the charts. You put it all together, and it's just wow. It just sends you. Is it any wonder they were just such a tremendous success? So, as it turns out, going back to Kiss, Gene Simmons had this demo thing. He actually had this idea of putting it together for like a band that he would manage and stuff. And one of the songs on there was Running with the Devil. And it may have been like a little different version, sort of. But that was what they went with. That came out that we've all know and love, Running with the Devil. Their first the single off the album is just really just catapulted them immediately. And of course, all the other stuff, you've got to have the good stuff backing it up, coming right behind you. Otherwise, you just turn into a one-hit wonder. You just, when that iron's hot, baby, pack it up. That's a whole other thing I want to talk about at some point, is that, if you got a hit album, you better have one or two more back behind it. Otherwise, it's like, who? That's the industry, that commercialization of it all. So anyways, Running with the Devil, here we go. Let's just get started this for a second here.
I live my life like there's no tomorrow.
Okay, and then he goes in and says, oh, I've had to steal, but at least I don't need to beg or borrow. And I'm at this pace. It's like, I know it could kill. That's the lyric there. Check this out.
Yes, I'm living at a pace that kills.
And so it's, to me, you could look at it one way. And I know certainly as a teenager hearing this for the first time, it just sounded so appealing. But it's really like the devil's got him caught in his grips, in his talons. He has to go. He has no choice. He's running with the devil. Yes, it's exciting. Yes, it's got all this to it. But at the same time, it's really like he's being controlled and captivated, but he's saying through it that I would prefer this to this ordinary, the typical way of going. I do think that there's something really amazingly rock and roll about that, because that is maybe at the core in so many ways. That is what rock and roll is. It's saying, I will pay the price to not be ordinary. I will pay the price to be extraordinary. I want it to be a certain way. And I'm going to tell you, I think Running with the Devil just really encapsulates this feeling very much.
Got no love you call real. Ain't got nobody waiting at home.
And of course, forget the lyrics. Just the song. If you just pull the lyrics out, of course you'd lose David's voice, which is so wow. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Running with the devil. I'm gonna tell you one time.
Oh my God. It's, like I've said before, so you take this, you take any piece of that, it's just off the charts. But if you didn't even have the lyrics and you just had nothing but the music, it's extraordinary. And it's just one of many of the songs that they did that kind of, that fit in that space of really just feeling so rock that you can't get enough of it. I promise you all, I'm going to be doing much more on Van Halen coming up in the future. I know I say this all the time, but I'm so busy doing all these things I got planned, and I get too many things. I get sidetracked. I've got to stay on course. There's so many songs, so many awesome things about rock and roll. Everything you can think of, including wanting to do interviews with young rockers coming up and rock bands that are trying to make it, or they want to sell more records. It's so hard these days. It's a lot. It's, in my opinion, it's easier in some ways, but it's tougher in others. So, always remember that. I'm doing interviews and want to help out. So, but keep in mind, more and more of this is coming is from the Van Halen and more songs. So please bear with me. Please, I hear you. I get your messages. I get your input, and I love it. It's never stop. And just know that it's not like I'm just, oh yeah, fine, good, and I'm kind of pissing it off. Not at all. I hear you, and I'm doing what I can. There's only one of me, but I'm working from morning to night to get it all to you rockers. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to part and leave the Rock Garden for now. But I want everyone to know you can easily contact me. Whether if you are, for example, you want me to do a pitch for you, you want me to use my voice and my celebrity to pitch your rock-related service or items, please just let me know. Talk to me directly. I don't use agents anymore. Don't need them. Don't bloody need them. Most of the time, they were just more trouble than they're worth anyway. Oh, if you're a band and you want me to do an interview, I do this for no charge. If you're a really good rock band and you just want to get, you want to get interviewed by the rocker, I'm here for you. So, additionally, I want everybody to know, if you have any comments or suggestions, anything at all of this, you can all reach me at rockataka.com, by the way. That's where, you contact me through rockataka.com. But if you're here on YouTube and you haven't already subscribed, please do, because I want to make sure that you always be able to get any videos I've released, just to make sure you hit that bell so that you'll be notified. And of course, hit the like button if you like what you hear, all right? So, for now, rockers, Rockataka rock fans, rock on with your bad self. And remember, I know it's only rock and roll, but I love it!